Call to order this meeting of the Ames Parks and Recreation Commission. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the July 15th and July 22nd, 2021 meetings.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I will second.
Motion is to approve the minutes from July 15th and July 22nd. Any discussion? All in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the public forum. This is for items not on the agenda. If anyone wishes to speak on an item, please fill out the green card and come to the podium and state your name and address. Oh, I don't.
So this is you.
This
So
is
you're
me.
so you're here for pickleball.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but not for the courts. I just am for the public forum.
So not related to the pickleball court project.
Not specifically. No, it's not.
All right.
My name is Nicole Fascio. I'm a resident of Ames, and I am the president of the Ames Pickleball Club. And I just am simply here. I mean, the pickleball courts is great. We're very excited about that project. But to introduce ourselves, I have a few members of the board. We formally incorporated in December of last year and have almost 80 members at this point. And so our purpose is just to promote pickleball in the Ames area and do what we can. And so far, we've been excited about collaborating with the city. We've collaborated with beginner clinics and having the summer leagues, which I think have been a success. We've had a lot of good feedback. We volunteered and ran those clinics in participation with the city. I think there was interest in the fall leagues, and so that is good to see that interest and see the city get on board in promoting actual formal activities in this area, because we do have a large population that's multi-generational that wants to participate. We get frequent calls or inquiries about lessons. And so I know the city doesn't have anything yet formally to teach pickleball or anything like that, but we want to know how we can collaborate in the future going forward. The pickleball courts are going to be great, but we do have organization to come up with ideas of how to maintain some of the other courts in the city, if the city would allow us to help with that or to do improvements, or we haven't started fundraising, but that is on our agenda in terms of what we can do to improve the facilities in the Ames area. So I just simply want to introduce ourselves. We have a website, it's amespickleball.com. We're taking in members planning activities, and if there's ways that we can collaborate, we're very interested. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, thanks. There's a lot of excitement around pickleball.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you guys came up. Glad you guys came up too. Sorry, I gotta get pretty close to this microphone.
We're a bit rusty. This is my first meeting back in a year and a half. Okay. Anyone else for the public forum? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public forum. Next item on the agenda is a motion regarding the city council approval for the BoardSafe accessible kayak launch for the Access Ada Hayden project.
Yeah. So put a lot of information in the commission action form. So really what looking for commission to do is just, basically recommend to city council that the BoardSafe adaptive kayak launch is the way to go. We gave you a variety of different options through our research, and then also we have David Denhan here, who is part of Access Ada Hayden. They had done some research as well. David actually went to, was it Indiana or Ohio? Ohio to actually check out one of the BoardSafe adaptive kayaks launches, and he's gone to other ones too, the Easy Dock and so on, where people have had them, and as you can see in the materials, is the group Access Ada Hayden as well as staff does recommend that we go with the BoardSafe. There are 3 key features with it. The chute, the boat chute that they have. Also, they have the slide out bench as part of that transfer bench, which actually slides out over the kayak. And then there's a number of handholds that they have, that people can actually then use them to get down into the kayak. So with all of it, I do want to, formally thank, David and the group Access Ada Hayden. They've raised just over $36,000, have, given that to the city. Their goal was $35,000. They also assisted the city in submitting an application to the Iowa DNR, which we were awarded a $5,000 grant as well. So all said, we're just over $91,000 in funds, for the project. So with this, there's several alternatives. Staff does recommend alternative number 1, which is to recommend City Council approve the BoardSafe accessible kayak launch from Northeast Products and Services for Access Ada Hayden project, and hopefully based on what you do tonight, this will go to council on Tuesday is what we're hoping to do. I did not put a lot of dollars and cents or anything in there. That's a really council decision, in regards to how the funding is spent. But with the BoardSafe and with engineering services. Leaves us roughly about $25,000 just to do, site work, some of the improvements that we would need to do, and we think that's plenty of money to get that accomplished. So I would answer any questions. If not,
Any other,
if David wants to say,
would you like to say anything, David, about it, or?
Sure.
Can you maybe
You can roll up to 0
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, you can go up to the table right here, David, and
Oh, right there.
yep. And
Just state your name and address for
David
Katie.
Denhun, 1804 Maxwell Avenue.
Thanks.
Yeah, Keith covered it nicely. We're asking for the BoardSafe product because it is a unique product. No other product, accessible dock product, has all these features. The handholds that allow people of different functionings to be able to use this dock well. And it has a unique metal construction, which we feel will be good for long-term use. And and that's really, in our fundraising, this is what we advertised we were going to have installed at 8 Hayden. So it'd be nice to follow through with the
Yeah, I mean, it's a great project, and obviously you've done your research, and people that are using the accessible dock, I obviously trust your opinion more than just looking at the pictures. So I appreciate,
Sure.
Going all the way out to Ohio. So that's great.
David, on one of the pictures, it shows that there's just a little nub railing, and on the other picture, it shows a higher railing. Do we know which one we're wanting to get?
Not sure I can speak
can you
to
put
that.
these up, Joshua?
Yep.
Show me real quick, and I'll.
See, on this one, it has the small railing. And this one has a high railing.
Oh,
Just because of
so just the two that we had in here.
The
Josh,
top two.
the straight on.
So
Oh, that's a different one.
yeah, that's not. Go to the other 2 pictures, Joshua. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the BoardSafe?
No, that's a different picture, but it shows. So
There.
with this one, so So what he's asking about is right here, this back railing,
Oh, the back railing.
is tall. And if you go to that other picture, the first one that you had up there, Joshua, this one, it just has a
Oh,
really
yeah.
low railing,
Oh, yeah.
and more so just kind of keep mobility devices from going off the edge.
I see.
Because if you look at the first one you put up, Joshua, that small railing is on it, but it looks like there's something added on to it. See, it does have the small one there.
Rolling.
I would prefer having the higher railing
Yeah.
Yeah, that does look like
because kids
safer.
would be messing around there too.
But I imagine that's probably outlined in the quote. Difference.
Yeah, and I don't have that width. We'll make sure that's included.
Do we need to amend the?
No, I don't think so.
I think we're just.
Because it's the BoardSafe. It's really the whole component.
Yep.
Is what we're asking you to recommend.
Okay.
It's really those three features, and that's just we'll just make sure that's included, in it.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions?
No, I'd just say fabulous job fundraising and
Yeah.
getting this organized, and that's a big part of it. So, thank you
Yeah,
for that.
great job. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll move to approve alternative 1.
I'll second. Okay. Motion is to approve alternative 1, recommend city council approve the BoardSafe accessible kayak launch from Northeast Products and Services for the Access Ada Hayden project. Any discussion? All in favor of alternative 1, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
David.
That was awesome.
Next item on the agenda is an update on the Iowa Creek Stream Stabilization Project in Brookside Park.
Yeah, so I thought what we would do is at the July meeting, we had Tracy Peterson here from Public Works, and we kind of shared with you just some of the issues with the Iowa Creek in through Brookside, some of the stream bank issues and so on. And then we just shared some of the concepts that WHKS had developed just to kind of give some ideas. And we mentioned that we were going to be going out and having various meetings. So we have Liz Calhoun, who's with Public Works. She's here. So what thought we would do is we'll maybe just have Joshua share. So we've had Liz and other staff has gone out and had conversation with property owners. Joshua and Liz had met with Lori Biederman from the Friends of Brookside Park, and then there was a stakeholders meeting that Liz and Joshua and other staff were at, and then there was an open house where Liz, Tracy Peterson, Paul Tauke, our city forester, me, and then WHKS representatives were there. And I believe WHKS representatives were at the stakeholders meeting as well. So just one thing, and you can kind of go through with this, but the Friends of Brookside Park, they did share a letter with City Council, and I apologize. I was going to forward that to you, and I forgot to. But basically, there were four things. They'd like some of the components of the project, but moving forward, they think there are some things that could be done from a construction standpoint that could be done a little bit differently. They really want to make sure that as the plans move forward, there is more detail regarding the revegetation of the stream banks once things are done. Also, just to really incorporate what are the overall aesthetics of the final project. What does that look like from a park user standpoint? And then also, just ongoing communication, throughout the project. So those are a few things, and those are some of the things that we heard in these other meetings also. So maybe Joshua can just talk about the stakeholders group real quick.
Yeah, so a lot of the things that Keith mentioned in regards to what the Friends of Brookside Park had had stated in their letter is a lot of the same comments that the stakeholders had. So at the stakeholders meeting, we had an individual from the Iowa DNR. We had some neighbors of the park that are very active. One was a former DNR member or former DNR employee that worked in the Wildlife Bureau. Another individual that works for the Iowa Wildlife Care Clinic. It's out at VetMed. And then we had some other neighbors there as well. And just to add on to what Keith said is, the loss of habitat. That's one of their concerns. There's a lot of native bird species that fly through there, which would be displaced for a certain period of time. Obviously, they're concerned about the invasive species and how they're going to manage that after the project, which I thought was really good. The Iowa DNR mentioned something in regards to the temperature of the water. Once all this vegetation is removed, what's the temperature of the water going to act like? And he also offered some input. They were behind the project, but they want to be involved as far as what can be done in the stream to provide more fish habitat. There's, as the way the plan is constructed or specified right now, there's no real undulations in the creek. So they'd like to create some pockets and have some pockets created to create some more deeper water for fish to thrive there. So, and then also they had some just questions in regards to, okay, what's 3-to-1, what's 4-to-1 slope look like? And so we kind of gave some examples of what those look like. And so just to kind of give them a little bit better idea, but all in all, the feedback was good to hear. Neighbors had some big questions, and Liz will go into more of that.
Yeah, so on the August 4th meeting, it was again a public meeting open to the general public, and probably 30 to 35 people came to that, and there were a lot of really good comments. Concerns were typical concerns were the tree clearing, loss of tree habitat, and taking the tree canopy away from the creek. So that was a concern. One thing that came up in the previous meeting was that there was a rusty patch bumblebee, which is an endangered insect on the list. So that actually was found on the day of the stakeholder meeting. And so we're looking at how to address that habitat and protect it. Actually, since then, they've found one in Moore Memorial Park, and as of yesterday, they're finding them all around Ames. So this time of year, if you're going to find them, they're going to be out there more. So we're trying to address that habitat and what we can do to try to protect it. Some other concerns, again, were other ecology, wildlife questions about losing habitat and how we were going to address that. So right now we're in the process of working with WHKS and addressing some of these concerns, coming up with a landscape plan, trying to get more of the visual of how this is going to look when we're done. So we're trying to come up with the best way to present that and to develop that plan, probably earlier rather than later, even though we're in conceptual, we're trying to start to drill down on some of the details, maybe a little sooner than we would, but we're hoping to be able to start to paint the picture of what the final result will look like. Keeping in mind the best practices for this stream and the stream bank. We have a meeting scheduled with the DNR next week with the fish experts and the stream expert, who is an expert in the toolbox, the newly developed toolbox. So hopefully they'll have some good alternatives that we can adopt and try to come up with the best practices for the stream and the stream banks. We also had the property owner meetings where we've met with each of the property owners and walked their property down by the stream, looked at the concerns. Obviously, tree removal is a concern in a lot of cases, and so we're trying to identify which trees would be taken out. Paul Taki also did a tree survey on the Brookside side of the creek, so we estimated roughly 200 trees going to a 4-to-1 slope. There'd be 200 trees removed through that 1,700 feet section on the park side. So again, trying to identify if there's some that we can work around, maybe near the top of the bank possibly, and not have to remove as many. So right now we kind of have the overview. We're trying to drill down on getting some more of the details ironed out and seeing what adjustments we need to make. We also have a mussel survey that will be done to see if there's any mussels in the creek. That's also an endangered species, certain types of mussels, and so we're working on that as well. So,
Yeah, and then just going off of what they said is, as you can imagine, with any of the projects that we have, because we've seen this before, I think one of the neat things about doing all of this outreach is there are a lot of passionate people, in this community. Whether it's to try to get the stream bank stabilization, the habitat, the wildlife, all of that, and you can imagine that there are some people that are very passionate on this end, and there's some people that are very passionate on this end, and it's really trying to take all of those comments from the meeting that Joshua and Liz just shared, and really trying to see what can be incorporated and what can't be incorporated into it. And there are other comments about, is riprap the right thing to do? Should you do this? Could you do that? We like the inviting people to the water, but then there are some concerns with that as well. And is that the right place, or should it be moved over here? So it's really trying to take, and that's where Liz and Joshua and the rest of the staff really try to work with WHKS now to take all of those comments and see what can be incorporated into it. And one of the things that, yes, there's a lot of trees, and with Paul doing the inventory, there are some that are desirable to keep, and then there's some that aren't necessarily desirable or invasive. So it's really going to be trying to find that balance as we go forward. And like Liz said, is it a 3-to-1? Is it a 4-to-1? Can we keep some of those trees? But are some of the trees worth keeping? And really, what are the goals of the project, and really trying to make sure that that's what we're trying to do, but incorporate all of this feedback. And I will say, I was just at the August 4th meeting, the open house, and there was a lot of good comments that were made that need to be considered. So that's just kind of a summary, and that's really what we wanted to do tonight. I don't know if commissioners have been hearing anything or getting the comments in regards to the project thus far. So any one of us would be interested in answer any questions that you may have.
I don't know if it's in the scope of this project or if it has been discussed, but a grade separated bike path crossing under the bridge, as you're doing bank stabilization, especially under the bridge, is sort of a very vulnerable spot to erosion.
Are you talking on 13th Street?
Yeah,
That's outside of this project.
make it in the scope. But I don't know. I mean, and I guess I don't know how far north you're going. So if this would mainly be,
It's basically from the pedestrian bridge to pedestrian bridge. That's our
Oh,
main focus.
so it's
we are
further
gonna be
back.
doing,
Yeah.
we are proposing doing some things north of the bridge, like just addressing the debris that's on the north side of the bridge. If you've ever been up there,
Yeah.
there's also some erosion right as you come off the bike path, or right after you come off 13th Street.
in that
You make that
Audubon
curve, there's a
trail.
kind of a steep
Yeah.
bank there. So that's where we're going to address that. But the majority of what we're proposing or what we're planning is between pedestrian
Gotcha.
bridge and pedestrian bridge.
Okay, so next project.
Yeah, but that's something.
Yeah,
but
that's something-
we'll mention it to the traffic engineer.
Yeah,
And with it.
it's
so.
just, especially we have a couple of these, especially 13th Street, a couple of these path crossings that are not safe. And so if you are doing bank stabilization in these areas anyway, and so maybe this segment that I'm talking about is further north than what you're going to be working on with this project. But when we're thinking about bank stabilization, because there is a lot of erosion there too in the future, and also on the Skunk River, that 13th Street crossing. So,
Yep. Yep, and we have had conversation
yeah.
with the traffic engineer about that, and really with this one, it'd be very difficult to do something where the current bike path is. You'd have to add a bike path, I think, on the west side, of the creek. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's outside the scope. So if there are any other questions related to the scope of this project, go ahead and ask us.
I think last time you talked about moving the path of the south pedestrian bridge. We were talking about moving it north and then having it come in, right? That was part of this project, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was just how to get
Because of the slope, right?
how to get to the water. So
Okay.
in the concept drawings by WHKS, off of the path that we have going through the park right now, they proposed a path going down to the water. And what we had discussed about is, instead of it coming, one way down to the water, should it come from the other way, and which way is best to from a maintenance perspective. If we do flood, what will have less sediment deposited on it, and so on. So that was one of the things we talked about. There were some comments in regards to that path and how to get to the water, and again, WHKS was at these meetings, and they'll incorporate some of those comments into the.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, if we're working on all of this, I just want to make sure that people have access, right? Because it is going to be really cool in the end.
Yep.
What happens if we do nothing? I know right now there's a lot of debris, a lot of where we've kind of let it go, and that stream has become a nightmare, all up and down most of it. But at their current rate of decline, where are we if we do nothing? Because then we lose everything anyway.
Well, the big
How
issue and what prompted the project to go in the CIP is the East Bank, where there's some failed slope that is actually impacting the properties there, and people are losing land to the creek. So if we don't do anything, we'll continue to see that slope fail. And also, just even on the park side, there's some areas where it's a vertical bank and approaching the paths, and so it would continue to erode. And the creek wants to meander, so it's just going to keep trying to push sideways.
I mean, you've already moved the path once there on the park side.
Yep.
So,
And how soon do you think, if we did nothing, this would happen?
No, that's if I could predict that. It really just depends on the flood. Like every big flood, in talking to the property owners, they lose trees, and anytime that we have those bigger heavy rains, because that creek is so flashy, it goes up and down very fast, and so it might not be up for very long, but while it is, it does damage and erodes.
Thank you.
I see the scope of this commission's interaction with this project is how much recreation capacity do we have for our residents. And I like that the DNR is asking about the stream bed. I think that's something, we talked about last time. There was no stream bed improvement whatsoever, but with the slope that it's going to be, I could see with stream bed fish, habitat, people down there fly fishing and stuff that you never see right now. And I think that when you think about like Decorah, Upper Iowa River Valley, and people are walking the stream beds, fly fishing, we can have that here too, with smallmouth going through there, but no one does, mainly because the stream bed's so awful. So I really like that the DNR has addressed this, and I think it definitely fits within our scope of interaction. So that's good.
Right now, we need a little water.
yeah.
Well.
Not so much with a stream. Right?
Not
Like
much.
fishing in a barrel, if there is
Yeah.
shooting fish in a barrel, if there are any pools
Right.
out there right now.
Would any neighbors or other stakeholders care to address the commission at all, or it's up to you?
My name is Lori Biederman. I live at 1239 Orchard Drive. Basically, all our points were already reiterated by Keith and Liz and Joshua. Our main 4 concerns are making sure the construction phase is well delineated and maintained. You don't want some trucks going off somewhere where they don't need to be. Getting a revegetation and maintenance plan, think about aesthetics, and just continue communications. And I've talked with Liz quite a bit about this, and we're in communication. And our group is going to hold off, and hopefully the next couple meetings we'll get more information.
Awesome.
Lori, has your group done an inventory of the habitat that is on the other side? Because we hear this quite a bit when we start talking about trees, that it's critical habitat. And sometimes we have the numbers and sometimes we don't. I know the school district had an issue with some owls and some trees, and they were able to say, here's the nesting, the numbers that we're talking about. Do you guys have any sense of what that is?
No, I've done some informal, I'm an ecologist, so I've done some informal kind of looking and things, but we don't have any hard numbers per se to say what things are going to be impacted. And I'm not an animal person, so I'd kind of have to rely on other people for that information.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you, Lori.
Yep.
All right. And there's no action.
No,
Oh, just
no,
an update.
no action needed. We just wanted to give you an update on the meetings that have held and what the next steps are and so on. So,
Great. Any other comments or discussion from the commission? Okay. Next item on the agenda is an update regarding the State of Iowa Reinvestment District Program.
thank you, Liz.
Oh, thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with Iowa Reinvestment District, which again, from our perspective or city's perspective, we have the downtown plaza, we have the indoor aquatic center. So there's a number of things that have been going on. So first off, with the downtown plaza, the city council, did waive purchasing policies and did award a contract to Confluence. They did the initial concept of the downtown plaza earlier in the year. So there has been a kickoff meeting, and then we've had another meeting with it, and really just talking about making sure that. So initially, Confluence was pretty much by themselves, and then they made a few phone calls here and there. So now they actually have a team put together, which there is an ice component, there is a water component. Now they got the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, the HVAC. So they have a lot of different team members. Landscape architects is part of what Confluence does. So really the first meeting at kickoff was really just to get everybody on the same page and answer any questions that anybody had. We did have a meeting earlier this week, and that meeting was really focused more on the building component and try to figure out what the program is going to be with that building. And then also just talked a little bit about water and about ice, because depending on what we're doing with those two components, the controllers, the mechanical components, that are needed, would have an impact on the size of the building, whether we go with real ice versus synthetic ice. So that's something that the ice consultant is I've already had some conversation with the consultant and shared some of our thoughts, and they are putting together information regarding the pros and cons, capital cost, ongoing operational cost, and so on in regards to real ice versus synthetic ice. So if you see down at the bottom of the agenda, there is a special meeting for September 9th. And with that one, it will just be focused on ice. So we'll be putting together, that information to move forward with the project. That's something that we're going to have to determine pretty early here, because we want to get this all done. And obviously, when they start going into the final design, real ice, obviously we'll have pipes running underneath the concrete and so on. synthetic ice, not. Storage and mechanical areas will be much different. Joshua, Kyle Jacobson, who's our Parks and Facilities Supervisor, and we did make some phone calls earlier in the week as well to some places that had synthetic ice. And we were able to only get in contact with one person. It was very small. It was 60 by 80, I think was the size.
No, I thought it was 27 by 60.
Oh, yeah. So 27. So it was very small thing. It was in a community of about 7,000. What we'll be doing is reaching out to Quick Ice, who is the consultant, or who the consultant has been talking to. They're based out of Minnesota, and we're going to see if there's any places that have synthetic ice that are close, and maybe even see if we can do a quick trip to get up there and really talk to them and see it and so on, storage, all those types of things. We're not real familiar with synthetic ice, so that's we're really looking to the consultant. I don't know, Jeremy, being ice. I'm guessing that you probably play on real ice, and that's what I had mentioned to the city manager about Minnesota. This company is out of Minnesota, but said they're pretty heavy into hockey and everything. I'm guessing there's not a lot of synthetic ice up in Minnesota. But that's one of the things just with the downtown plaza. One of the components that's happening as well is we are doing an RFP to solicit an artist that then will kind of concurrently work to design a kinetic art piece for the plaza and kind of work that alongside what Confluence is doing. So that's something that will be happening as well. So any questions about the plaza? No?
Nope.
All right. So then we'll move on to, one of the components of the reinvestment district was the redevelopment of Lincoln Way. And I know the city manager and the planning director have had a couple of meetings with developers in regards to that and what that may look like. We still don't have a project that will need to be determined prior to the final application being due in February 25th of 2022. But there are conversations that are going on with that as well. So then it moves to the aquatic center, the indoor aquatic center. So a number of things happening there. The staff, we did meet with the DOT just to confirm that they are willing to sell that property north of Lincoln Way to us, and they are still willing to sell it. They do have a process, and they have to go through an internal process to dispose of the property. And there's two different processes for right-of-way, excess right-of-way that they want to sell, and then non-right-of-way, and this would be non-right-of-way with how they define things. But then with it, once they decide to do it, they have to have an appraisal. They did a preliminary appraisal last year, which came back at $2 million. So they have right now initiated a final appraisal, and they're hoping that will be done in September, is what they've been told. So we'll have a number then. So we hope it's no higher than that $2 million. With it, costs continue to go up. But then what they do is they actually do put it out to other governmental agencies, so counties, municipalities, school districts, and then an offer is given, and the offer has to at least be a minimum of the market value, of the appraisal. So as of right now, we don't know that anybody else is interested in that property, but we'll continue to work through that. We also had conversation with them in regards to the two buildings that are on there right now. And there's really three things. There's two buildings. There's on the southeast corner, there's their conference center, which also houses Iowa Workforce Development. They have one office there. And then they also have a computer lab, which they use a lot with their employees. So that's in the southeast corner. And then more in the northwest corner is the North Annex. And the North Annex does house a number of employees, but they don't have a good feel, or I'm trying to get a number in regards to, because there are some people that work from home, some people that come in, and so on. But when they do their renovation of their north wing, which is south of Lincoln Way, they do also want to house, relocate some of the people from that north wing to that building as well. So, and then south of that building, which would be within the footprint of the Indoor Aquatic Center, is the air conditioning unit, which is a quite large fenced-in area that for the building. So that most likely would need to be moved. But we did have conversation with them in regards to being able to maybe coexist, on the site. Maybe we could get relocate Iowa Workforce Development. They have a lease with the DOT through about mid-2023. So we're looking at that. It would be good to be able to take that building down, because we would have a lay down area for materials. If we cannot take that building down, then construction costs probably will come in higher, because they'll have to do material lay down and so on off-site, and that will increase costs. So eventually we are talking to, and we'll have more conversation regarding, potentially if all employees could maybe be relocated elsewhere, throughout the community. If that's a possibility, then we would have the whole site. Right now, with our tentative timeline, we're looking at construction starting in spring, early summer of 2023, and be finished in June of 2024, about a 14-month time period. Right now, the DOT is looking at vacating that North Annex in the fall of 2024. So we're going to continue to have conversation with them about those that timeline, how we can make that work, and so on. So one of the things that is going to council next week is just an update on the proposed property, for the Indoor Aquatic Center. You'll just have a lot of the information that I just shared with the commissioners. So any questions about any of that, or do you want me just to keep going through everything and then you can ask questions at the end? Okay. So
It's good information.
yeah. So the second thing that would be going to City Council is having them approve an urban renewal area and an urban renewal area plan. So there are a number of steps that need to happen with that. The urban renewal area is going to coincide with the Reinvestment District, that the boundaries, so 25 acres, so most of City Hall, or most of the downtown area, and then it includes the property for the Indoor Aquatic Center. So there does need to be a plan, and the plan does a number of different things. But that needed to be approved by planning and zoning, which they did approve it 3-1. So that will be going to council, and recommendation is that council would approve the urban renewal area and the urban renewal area plan, and that's the first step in the way they want to or could potentially issue bonds. So that's the second component, that's going to be going to the city council. The third component is to set a hearing for the issuance of bonds. So once the urban renewal area in that plan is adopted, one of the things in an urban renewal area should say it's an area that provides city councils, okay, with some authorities and powers to be able to take care of blight and also help with economic development. So those are a couple of things that are part of that urban renewal area and with that plan. So one of the things that they would be able to do if they choose, and they have given some indication at one of their last council meetings that they wanted to do this, is that within an urban renewal area they can issue bonds, for a project, for an essential core purpose. So what this setting this hearing, what that does is they'll set a hearing for issuance of bonds. And right now, that dollar amount is $31.2 million. So if you remember, the project was about $27.5 million. But with what RDG, the design consultant and so on, what they have done is said, it could be 15%. I think I shared that with you at the last meeting, above what their estimates were. So that's something. So we took that information. So 31.2 million is what the overall project would be. Right now, we just met with Dan Culhane from the Ames Chamber of Commerce today, who is doing fundraising and having conversations. So again, we're looking at approximately $10 million in private donations. He's not quite there yet, but he's feeling confident that he'll be able to get to that 10 million. He has a number of asks out there right now that he hasn't heard back from yet. So what that will do is that will bring that 31.2 down to 21.2, and then that's what council would be looking is to issue bonds for that $21.2 million. So if that's the route they go, they will set a hearing date for September 14th. And then at September 14th date, that's when they would actually give themselves the opportunity to issue bonds at a later date, not to exceed 21.2 million. So you'll go through design and estimates and bids come in less than that. They wouldn't have to issue that full amount. You're still thinking about that $300,000 bathroom, aren't you, Jeremy? So that's the third thing that's going to happen is setting that hearing for issuing bonds. A couple of other things that kind of related to this. We have met with Stecker Harmson, who is a company here in Ames, and what they do is they do estimating. So they actually did the estimating on the Healthy Life Center when we did that. Just RDG does their estimate, and then they give it to Stecker and Harmson, and a lot of architects, firms, and so on do use them. So we actually asked them just to instead of this roughly 10 to 15%, can you take a look at what we're looking at and come back with some type of maybe a closer figure or more accurate figure for us. So we're doing that. And then, and also we'll probably do a phase one. We are asking council for direction on doing a phase one environmental study of that property. And the phase one study is really just looking at records, doing research, what was on that property over the years, all those types of things. And then if there's anything that comes back with that phase one study, then they may recommend a phase two study, which would involve soil borings and other things, just to see if there's anything there, anything that we need to be worried about. There were some things, property to the north of that. There was a gas, believe it was a gas company there. So there have been the DOT had done some wells on this site, but those have come back with no issues, and actually the DOT had asked the DNR to abandon those wells, and that's what has happened as well. So that's the third thing, and then the fourth thing that will be taking the council is just to have them authorize staff to spend up to $50,000 right now for some of these other items. So the Stecker Harmson, roughly $5,500. We're going to be working with this company that helped us with the feasibility study, the economic impact, and so on. That could be another $15,000 to $20,000. We'll most likely have hire Ballard King, who will help us with the operational side and help us do some revenue projections and so on. As far as operations. So there will be some additional expenses, and that is what that fourth item will be, is just saying, hey, can you authorize staff to spend up to $50,000 to pay for some of these other items. So those are all things that are happening with the Reinvestment District and Indoor Aquatic Center, Downtown Plaza. So any questions?
Wait, where does the state funding come into play with this? This is if we successfully raise the other funds, or I can't remember.
So what it would do is so 31.2 million for the project. The fundraising 10 million takes it down to 21.2. The city council issues bonds for that 21.2. We are awarded the 10 million from, with the Reinvestment District Program, then that would reduce the taxpayer responsibility for the debt repayment down to 11.2 million. Okay. And obviously, if there's more raised than 10 million, privately fundraised, maybe Dan does a bang up job and comes in with $15 million. That actually reduces the taxpayer responsibility even less. So that's where that 10 million comes in. And again, we just have been preliminary awarded, that 10 million. We still have to do the final application, and then we'll get notice of whether or not we get the 10 million or not. Or maybe we'll get more if some of the other projects,
Yeah.
You're positive, right, Jeremy?
That's right.
So that's where that 10 million comes in.
Okay.
So, with the North Annex, with the DOT potentially wanting to hold on to that till, you said fall of 24.
Yep.
Is most of our construction on the south end of the property, or?
Well, the building. So
Okay.
the building, and if you look at an aerial, and we didn't bring one along, but if you look at an aerial, there is on either side of that property, there's an alley over here to the east and an alley to the west. And if you draw a line between those two alleys right through the DOT property, the North Annex sits to the north of that line, and then the building, the Indoor Aquatic Center, would be built to the south of that line. So it could work, but obviously there's other issues. Do they give us permission to build on their site while they still own it, or do they sell it to the city and then we give them permission to keep the North Annex on there? So there's a lot of things, and it's very complicated. There's a lot of different moving parts. So and I'm trying to condense this down in just a snapshot for you, but there will be a lot of additional meetings to keep moving forward and try to figure all of this out.
Yeah, I was just curious if that was going to be a snag for construction, and so that's what I was asking. And then I know last time when we talked about the estimate for, or at least the increase in the estimate of 10 to 15% or so, did that factor in property value, or was that just building costs?
So the 27.5, that we had, that included everything. That was construction, that was contingency, A&E, architectural and engineering, land cost, and so on. So when we looked at that 10-15% increase, it encompassed everything else except for the land cost. We still kept the land cost at $2 million. So if they come back at say, it's now going to be $3 million, then we'll have to take a look.
Okay.
Because there's a possibility, and staff did share with council that if they're, the main goal was to get the aquatic center, I know commission likes the second floor, likes the added amenities. City council likes the added amenities and so on. So that's what we're going through. But at some point, council may say, you know what, we just can't, all these additional costs, maybe we just do the aquatic center. I know that's not the goal of anybody right now, because there are a lot of benefits to those other components, the walking track, the multipurpose space, and so on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So stay tuned.
A lot of moving parts.
So we'll just staff will continue to give you updates every month with things. But if you hear something, if you have a question, please don't hesitate to call, and if I don't have the answer, I'll get it for you.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Any other discussion on the downtown plaza reinvestment district? That was a lot of information, but thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the capital improvements plan timeline.
Yeah. So Joshua can just put it up, but really just for tonight, just wanted to let you know what's in the works. So we did have the instructions from finance, just to kind of discuss the process with commissioners tonight. We'll schedule a public input meeting for September like we have done in the past, and then we'll bring that information, to the regular meeting in September, and then also share with you, earlier this month, just last week, we had a meeting with all of our full-time staff, and we did spend some time talking about CIP project, potential projects. Are there things that we need to address immediately? Are there things that, maybe 2 years from now? So at that September meeting, we'll start bringing all of that information to the commission, to get some guidance and reaction and so on. So we'll share that all with you. That's on September 16th. And then in October meeting, the commission will give final direction to staff. We'll have more of a draft put together, and then we usually meet with the city manager in October just to go through, and if he wants to tour sites, we go and do that, and then deadline for us to have all this information put into our budgeting system is November 15th. And then December 2nd, the commission will meet with the city manager. At that time, he'll have a much better feel for what the funding is looking like and what all the requests are. And if you've been through that meeting before, the question generally is, if we don't have funding, what would you cut out? Do you feel good about it? And so on. And then in January, mid-January, we present this to city council, and then they have a public hearing, and then approval of the CIP in February, and so on. So that's the process, and really right now, that's really what I just wanted to share with the commissioners tonight, the process. And one of the things, and mentioned this maybe before, with our facilities, within our parks, we're really looking at developing long-term plans and replacement schedules, for everything, because that's a big chunk. Mm-hmm. And I know you've mentioned this before as a commission, it's great to add the new stuff and so on, but we also need to be able to take care of, the stuff that we have and maintain it and make sure that it's safe and in good working order and so on. So any questions in regards to the timeline? No? All right.
Spin around. got lost. Okay. Next item on the agenda is project updates from.
Yeah, so there's just three projects we wanted to just give you an overview on. And with these first two, we did do, we had Zoom meetings last week. One was the agility course, and we used that criteria. We were going to bring, initially going to bring a recommendation, or a thought was to bring a recommendation regarding the location to, commission tonight. With the criteria that that you had given to staff or approved for staff to use, we did go through that, and car park did come up as kind of the top. It actually checked all the boxes. There were some other locations. We did send out postcards to each of those neighborhoods, to car park and to McCarthy Lee Park, and we had some people that were on the Zoom meeting, and I'll let Joshua go through a little bit more, but there were, I think, maybe two individuals from the car park neighborhood. They did share some comments. Since that meeting, we have had a number of emails in regards to it. I know the City Council has received some emails in regards to the location. So we're going to be doing another meeting on site with those neighbors. We want to have more conversation with them. So I'll let Joshua just give an overview of some of the items and the concerns that they have that they brought forward.
Yeah. So just like he said, we received multiple emails and some phone conversations in regards to individuals that are, I would say, not in favor of the project at Car Park. Some of the reasons that they stated were how Meadow Lane is very. They stated that Meadow Lane is very busy, and they think this agility course would bring a lot more traffic to that area. Another issue was safety of the equipment. They think that this equipment is going to it's going to bring people to there, and then it's going to cause some safety concerns. So I'm trying to think. I'm drawing a blank, but there's multiple other people taking away, basically taking away green space. You're going to add a park, and one of the things that we tried to explain to these individuals is, we have plans in the CIP to remove the bathhouse that's already there, put a shelter and a restroom there, and our plan was to put some type of play equipment there. This is play equipment, and I think there's a little misconception, or people, maybe not misconception is the correct word, but people don't necessarily know what agility course is. If you Google agility course, it comes up as like something for dogs, for a dog park or something like that. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a letter together. I'm going to send it out to all the neighbors. We're going to have a meeting next Thursday. That's the plan. And we're going to meet on site. The letter is going to have some pictures. It's going to have some links to what an actually agility course is. And then also kind of some other background information. And then at the meeting, we'll present pictures. We'll present kind of go over overview of what we talked about at the meeting last week. And then just hear their concerns and their questions and try to address them as best as we can. And then we'll I assume we'll come back, Keith, at some point and give an update to you in regards to what we've decided. Or what we're recommending.
Yeah. It's some of the same things that we heard with the Miracle Park. The safety, the green space, the noise. It's peaceful. So there's in a number of them. Where we're not opposed to the project, but maybe it should be centrally located. Maybe it should be placed here. And so on. So we just need to really go out and better understand with it. And one of the things with the meeting next week is just with some of the emails that we received, there is I think some confusion, maybe some misinformation as far as what is actually being proposed, like Joshua mentioned. So we just need to go through and really once they see it, maybe they'll have, some different thoughts. But it does pose one of the things on a bigger note. We really try to do when we do this public outreach. Like I said, we send out postcards. And I remember, Katie, how many postcards did we send to the car park neighborhood?
I'm not sure, but over 150, under 200, I would guess.
Yeah, so somewhere.
Well, that's car and.
I thought it was each one was about 150 to 200.
I don't remember, but anybody whose property touched car and then another street or over it.
Yeah, I think we went all the way over to George Allen, along 20th Street and then whatever street that is. So a good number of people, but we have heard say, oh, we got the postcard, but we threw it away. We didn't think it was important, or we didn't get the postcard. So those are, it's just a continual challenge for us, because we do want public input. We want to have as much information that we can get to share with you as commissioners and with council members to make informed decisions. So that's we continue to look at how do we do that, and like Joshua said, another letter to go out to the neighborhood and we'll meet with them. So any questions on the agility course? No? All right. Then we also, on the same night, we did a Zoom meeting on pickleball. And as for any of the pickleball, I know Eric's back here. So, I apologize with the confusion with the Zoom meeting, because I went to start the meeting and there was no meeting. So I started making phone calls, and I had actually scheduled it for another date. But we got it figured out. Everybody got in and needed to get in, and we were good. So with this meeting, there was and we have determined that this is going to go into McCarthy Lee Park, and there was we know of one neighbor for sure that was on the call. But most of them were pickleball players. There was an individual who's a staff member for U.S. Pickleball. There's the president of the Des Moines Pickleball Club. I know Eric was on. Other people were on, and so on. So it was really, I would say, the comments with this meeting were. Comments such as, hey, we give credit to the city for taking pickleball serious, getting some pickleball courts established, applaud your efforts, and then there was just a lot of good suggestions in regards to well, could you do, instead of 6 courts, could you do 8 courts? There's a way to get 8 courts in that same space. So we'll look at that. They talked about just even with the number of people playing. A lot of times people put a time limit on how long you can play on a court. That doesn't work. So our suggestion would be is that if there are people waiting, you play to 11, win by 2, and then you get off the court and let somebody else, get on. So we'll be, obviously. With Eric and others and the contacts that were on that Zoom call, it was really helpful with it. So that and there was no opposition from the neighbors in regards to that call. So we're moving ahead. We do have we just got a proposal today for. Just to develop plans and specs. So we'll be reviewing that and hopefully getting the consultant on, and then, getting it. And our goal is to get that bid out so we can, get that constructed in the spring, and then those courts would be open to be used. So anything I missed, Joshua?
Nailed it.
So I know we have 3 diehards still here. So I don't know if any of the 3 of you want to get up and say anything?
I don't have to.
But you will.
I will too. And
Eric Fazio, 610 Garnet Drive. Just to reiterate too what Nicole said earlier too, she's the president of our club, but and she wanted to introduce you. We want to cooperate. We want to be as helpful as possible, and even offering to maintain the parks and or to courts and everything. That's a big deal for us, and so we do have fundraising or planned for maintenance and improvements and ideas for all kinds of stuff too. So
yeah. Yeah, I know one of the comments was brought up, or one of the questions was, I don't know if you're thinking about windscreens or things of that sort. And we don't have any windscreens, but that was something that Josh, when I said, well, maybe we go to the pickleball players, and that's something that they could raise. And I know you've been working with Ben, or whoever's been working with Ben Flaherty, who's one of our recreation managers, to develop the pickleball leagues and so on. And we were actually just talking about how do we maybe partner with others in the community to maybe do some winter pickleball leagues and so on. So,
like we had ideas too, maybe LED light bulbs that are a different color. I don't know if you guys are those LEDs at Ines Grove? No. So like changing those, because I mean the actual color of those makes it really hard to see the ball at night when we play at night. So, but like we were like, we can do that. We can maybe help by get new bulbs for those fixtures and stuff. Instead of getting new fixtures, just get new bulbs. Yeah. So these are, you give somebody a topic, they'll always come up with good ideas too. Just one other thing is that everywhere we've been to play that has a nice facility, they have a nice facility, and then there's always additional courts next to them. So it looks like they started with a modest size, and once they get a facility going, it explodes so big that they're adding on right away. So I mean, we've been all over the country playing, and everyone we talked to was like, yeah, it's growing nonstop, and you're not going to stop it. So, but that's a perfect using Emily Park is just perfect for that, because it has the potential to grow, even by just taking over those other two courts if we need to in the future, because they're there and the infrastructure is there for everything. And it's such a nice place too. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
By the way, Eric was one of the individuals who brought this up 2 years ago.
Yeah. Still playing.
To get started. You need a different shirt though, Eric.
Yeah.
I just moved my daughter into Friday.
That's okay, Eric. I just moved my daughter into Catlet.
You're an Iowa State employee, aren't you?
Yeah, they know. I have two Hawkeyes. They know it at work.
My son just graduated from Iowa City, so we're all over.
Yeah.
So any questions about pickleball courts?
Actually, I had a question for Eric. Last year, when you all approached us, you had about 100 players. Where are you guys at now? Because I know you're growing leaps and bounds.
Like Nicole said earlier, we just started our club. We organized a club, and we've pretty much instantly got 50 members, and now we're up to 80 members already as people are catching on to what we're doing. Our Facebook group has, what did we say, 400 and something people in it already for just the.
Wow.
We're growing, and we get a lot of people. Merle's here. He lives in the Huxley area. We get people from Story City, Huxley, Boone, Ogden, where's Ankeny,
Wow.
Des Moines, Marshalltown. People are coming to play, and we don't even have a facility yet. Wow. Once we get a facility, it's going to be
that's amazing.
Big. So, yeah, thank you, and thanks for your cooperation too. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Eric.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So then the last project is to give an update. The fishing pier up at Ada Hayden. Did they start work today? So they were going to do work this week just to reroute the path, put in actually a new path a little further to the north than what the existing path is. So then they'll block off everything else, get their equipment in, and then they'll be starting the project the week of September 6th, and figure that will be done in October. Again, they'll be taking some pilings out, re-leveling the pilings, putting on new decking boards, new railing system, some new pathways and so on. So if you're up there and wondering the new path, that's supposed to be done tomorrow.
Yeah, they're pouring it starting tomorrow morning at 7. So it should be done tomorrow, and then they'll probably open Monday or Saturday. I don't know if I'll have to confirm, but
Yeah, we wanted them to make sure that it was open for the weekend. So we'll see what they do. They might finish up tomorrow and go and cut and be ready to go on Saturday. So
Awesome.
So those are just 3 that we wanted to kind of bring you up to speed on. If we went through everything else, we'd be here till 9, which I know you don't want to do.
No, let's do it.
Any other questions or discussion on these projects? Busy summer. Awesome. Next item on the agenda is the monthly report.
So just
just a quick update. We've actually started construction at Tahira and Lob Hira Park out there on the corner of Woodland and Westwood, I believe. So got a bid coming in for concrete on Monday. So hopefully it's favorable. So the grading is first part of it. Hopefully we can get the concrete started here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to start digging shelter footings next week, start putting the shelter up. So things are moving out there. So that's exciting.
I saw the shelter at Franklin Park too.
Yep.
is under construction.
So yeah, we're getting close to wrapping that project up. Got to finish the roof at the shelter at Franklin Park. Got to put in the water line for the fountain and electrical for the lights for the shelter. And then next spring, Public Works is putting a path through there that's going to connect from the McFarland building there on the west side of on the east side of Hy-Vee there at the west Hy-Vee. And then the path's going to connect through the new Baker subdivision and eventually go.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to stop there at State Avenue, right there at the Baker subdivision, the old former middle school site.
Nice. Okay. Thank you, Joshua. Any questions about anything there? Next item on the agenda is commission member comments.
I mean, I don't know if it's much of a comment as an admission. I have no idea what pickleball is. But
You waited till he left.
I know, and
Big
I
guy
was
leaves the room before
I was
you
gonna
ask.
but yeah, I'm getting the sense that I should look into it though, because it seems like it's a growing community.
I think
So
you'd be really good at it.
It's kind of a faster paced tennis. It's kind of, halfway between like table tennis and tennis.
Okay.
It's like a lower net and smaller racket and
paddles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paddles, a harder ball.
Yeah.
But courts are
But on a
courts are
court
very
court.
similar to like a badminton court.
Okay.
But the nets are
They're
a little lower than tennis court net height.
Yep.
And a lot of them, I haven't seen a lot of single play. I see a lot of doubles play.
Yeah.
With it.
If you ever want to go look, you should go to probably any evening, go to Innis Grove Park. And
Okay.
You'll see individuals out there playing pickleball.
And if all you have to do is go up to the fence and say, "Wow, that looks like fun." Somebody will say, "Well, hey, we got an extra paddle. You want to come out and give it a try?" They'll pull you in.
All right. Well, I'll have to head out there some night.
Just show up.
Yeah.
Definitely not a cult. No.
So yeah, just I wanted to, I guess, share that admission because
Very
I felt
enthusiastic.
a little out of the loop.
We appreciate your honesty.
I have a comment about bees. Actually, I remembered it because my dog and my husband encountered some bees in a McCarthy Lee near the rock that has the plaque on it. I don't know if they're the endangered bees, but there was a pretty big ground hive. So
Oh, you talking
They were
about
probably
that,
wasps.
right by the parking lot there?
yeah.
Okay. I think those are like ground hornets, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not the first time.
Do we know why we've had such an explosion at the parks with wasps and hornets? Yet
No, I don't.
Very pollinator friendly.
they're attacker friendly. At the
Yeah.
north end.
And they find I was at the aquatic center after we closed the slide, and I was shaking around on the slide, and wham! I got
Yeah.
zapped.
Yeah. They're out there.
They're everywhere.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I wanted to tell you about those bees or wasps. So, yeah. Any other comments, thoughts? Okay. So next meeting, we have a special meeting Thursday, September 9th at 4 p.m. to discuss ice options. And our regular meeting is Thursday, September 16th at 4 p.m., both in chambers. Right. And if anyone would care to make a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
meeting is adjourned.